Hey there, coaches. I'm Rich Prado, owner of Play in School and host of Travel Ball Talk, where I talk to travel ball coaches from the best organizations about the current and future state of travel baseball. This week's guest is Ronnie Gaines from West Texas Elite and Elite Baseball Academy in San Angelo, Texas. I already know what you fans of Fixer Upper are wondering. No, Ronnie is not related to Chip and Joanna Gaines, but he does have the same kind of work ethic as them. Today's call touches on a lot of the things that allow elite baseball to not only survive, but thrive despite their location. We discuss a lot of tips and tactics that you can apply to your facility and organization, whether you're in small town USA or in a big city. And I hope you enjoy this episode of Travel Ball Talk. Before we jump into today's call, I want to make sure I thank all of the coaches that trust Play in School to handle their players' college recruiting videos. And that includes Ronnie and Elite Baseball Academy. Film on all of their guys and every organization that we partner with can be found at playinschool.com/teams. If your organization lacks up-to-date film on every single player, then I'd like to talk to you about solving that problem. Our partners can share film of any player in less than 3 clicks on their smartphone by text, email, or social media. We do all the heavy lifting. And let's be honest, if you don't have film on all of your guys right now, then your guys are at a disadvantage compared to your competitors. Let's fix that. Email me at rich@playinschool.com to set up a call. Now, on to the show. All right, welcome back to another episode of Travel Ball Talk. I'm your host, owner of Play in School, Rich Prado. Today I've got Ronnie Gaines on the line. He's a buddy of mine from West Texas, out in San Angelo, Texas. For those of you guys who don't know where San Angelo is you get to Dallas, you hang a left, and you drive for about a half a day. You keep going, and you'll be there soon. I was out there this past summer. Got to work with the Elite Baseball Academy guys, the older age group that Ronnie runs out there in West Texas, and we had a good time and got to know each other. And so I'm happy to have you on the line today, Ronnie. How you doing, man?
Man, good, Rich. I appreciate you having me.
So this is going to be a little bit of an interesting kind of juxtaposition compared to the call I just hung up with. Comparing and contrasting how your summer and fall went. I just got off the phone with Joe Ellison from Ontario Blue Jays, and being north of the border in Canada, I mean, he couldn't do anything. When they finished their last fall game in October 2019, they didn't play another baseball game until just recently in October down in Florida.
Complete shutdown mode, huh?
They went almost an entire year without. It went October to August. I'm sorry, so almost a whole year without a baseball game. Versus Texas, which was pretty open. We'll get to that, but before we get into all that, tell us a little bit about yourself and then introduce Elite Academy Baseball and what you got going on as far as the feeder program and the facility and everything else. Give us the background.
I kind of started with just kind of what I did college-wise. I played at McLennan Community College. I grew up in Temple, Texas. That's the Central Texas area off 35. A lot of the Texas people know what I'm talking about. Went to junior college, started off in junior college, went to McLennan Community College, had played 2 years there and ended up really didn't have very many opportunities out of junior college. Didn't play a ton, just kind of went through a few adversities at my junior college. Chris Clemens, who's a scout with the Cubs now, was our assistant coach at the time, and he made a phone call, got me a tryout at Angelo State University, ended up heading over to Angelo State and on a visit and to throw some bullpens and do some hitting with Kevin Brooks, who's still the head coach at Angelo State University. And went over there, spiked a couple into his kneecaps, and didn't think I would make a team there. I ended up getting an opportunity. It was me and a couple guys that went to McLennan with me that went on that visit. We had the tryout and seen the campus, and it didn't look promising after that workout and that little visit. But he ended up giving me an opportunity and came to Angelo State and was an All-American there and made it to the Hall of Honor at Angelo State and got to play some professional ball after that. Started off with the San Angelo Colts with independent ball and got an opportunity and an invite to go and play with the White Sox and to a spring training with them. And so I played in North Carolina with their minor league teams and ended up not working out, and now I'm here. Wanted to continue with baseball, continue trying to give back to the kids and give them the same opportunities that I had here in Angelo, and didn't want to go home for a little while. It was a little rough. Didn't know what I wanted to do, so I got into I was bartending for a little bit, and then a guy offered me an opportunity coaching-wise at Texas Leadership Charter Academy. And I was coaching baseball. I was coaching basketball. I coached football. I was going to school at like 7 in the morning, and I hadn't quite wanted to give up my baseball dream yet. Mm. So I was coaching the junior high in the morning and going through the school day. I was teaching social studies during the day, and then doing football practice in the evening, and then going and playing a baseball game at 7 at night and not getting home. So it was a little bit of a grind, and and mind you, at this time I had my wife and I had my first kid. So getting home, grinding it out during the day, and then going to a baseball game and playing independent ball at night. Once I was released from the White Sox, came back here and was playing that and doing that. She let me know something had to give, so mm-hmm. I had to hang those cleats up, man. And during this time, I'm still coaching and doing all that. I wanted to do, I wanted to get into the travel ball world and try to jump into that. So. I'm still coaching, still, doing all this, and I put out a tryout in the newspaper and on social media outlets, and I mean, we ended up, getting like, I guess 40 something kids, and we started 3 teams in 2013. So that's kind of how the travel ball portion started, and we called it West Texas Elite. Now,
back me up a second. What years were you at Angelo State?
I was at Angelo State 04 to 06.
So a tryout where you spiked a couple pitches down in the shins of
out of all I just said, that's what you pick out.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. Well, say a rough tryout, and you're still there 15 years later. You've made it your home. You obviously met your wife. You started a family. I bet that day you spiked a couple fastballs. You probably didn't think that would be your home and where you make your family for the rest of your life, is it?
Man, I thought I'd be heading back to Central Texas, man. Going to see if Mommy will let me back in the house.
Yeah. So for those of you, we joked. I joked at the beginning about West Texas and San Angelo. It really is a long way from anything. I was there. So those of you who are familiar with the Dallas-Fort Worth area, to San Angelo, you're talking about to the airport. You're talking about a 4-hour ride. I mean, it's a pretty good poke.
A little over.
Yeah, a little over 4 hours, and it's out there in the middle of nothing. out there in the middle of nowhere.
Once you get here, man, it's good folk here, man.
Well, that's just it. This is not a tiny town. It's small in comparison to some towns. I live in what I would call a small city, Richmond, Virginia, in the metro, the surrounding counties. We have probably about 1 million people. Okay, so that's not a giant city. It's a good enough amount of folks. Now, San Angelo, I remember the sign as I came driving in town and out of town. It's about 100,000, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And if you head over, there's some other small little towns over there. To the north of you got Abilene. To the west of you got Midland and Odessa. Those are also towns of roughly about the same, about 100,000 as well. So it's not like there's no people out there. They're just kind of spread out.
That is exactly how you would describe it. It's spread out, and just it takes a little bit to get anywhere, you know, from where we're at. Now,
in the travel baseball world, if you look at some of the perennial powers, they're coming out of, that main triangle, that Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and with Austin in between San Antonio and Dallas. That triangle and those points of the triangle with Austin thrown in there as well. I mean, there's so much baseball down there. It's incredible. But as you move out of town back over to where you are, I remember from our conversation, you felt like you had an opportunity to provide baseball, for these kids. And as I'm literally on Google Maps right now. And as you zoom out, the amount of land that is to the west and to the north and to the south of San Angelo is unbelievable. So, for example, from San Angelo to El Paso, which is the western tip of Texas. What is that about? I can type it in real quick. I think that's about
6 hours. 6 hours, I said.
6 hours on the dot. A 6 hour drive, and you're probably a 6 hour drive to the, up past Amarillo into Oklahoma. And then probably about a 3 hour drive.
Not much scenery.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Not much scenery.
Nothing. So you have this brilliant idea of starting a baseball program out in the middle of nowhere, and servicing these kids who come from these. Really, these are like oil towns. If you think about it, there's oil, and then there's the service industry that provides, the schools that teach the kids in the oil industry, the restaurants that feed the kids in the oil industry, et cetera, et cetera. So you have all the services that pop up to support that the major economy, which is the oil. It's but they're spread apart. You've been at this a few years now, and you seem like you're growing. I mean, talk about some of the challenges you've faced, versus somebody who's in Dallas with whatever I think their population is probably about 5 million people in the metro area.
I can't. It's a lot of this travel ball stuff. It's the same anywhere you go. It's just in our area, we just don't have the talent pool that you see in those metroplex areas. So the biggest challenge, I would say, is getting people to buy in. Getting people, because I'm one that I want the kids that join our program and buy into what we do. I want them to play at the highest level possible. And it's not possible to go and play at those high levels if San Angelo's trying to do it by theirself, and Lubbock's trying to do it by theirself, and Abilene's trying to do it by theirself. I'm trying to build something in West Texas in everybody's backyard. And I forgot to mention Midland, Odessa area.
Yep.
I'm trying to build something in their backyard to where, those kids that are, in Abilene, or those kids that are in Lubbock, they don't have to go to Dallas and play that a high level in Dallas. They got the organization, they got the tools to train and do what they need to do right here in West Texas, and then go and compete with Dallas and compete with Houston and compete with San Antonio and Austin and play high level baseball and have the opportunity to have college coaches and scouts evaluate them.
Now, being that I was there in the springtime or right heading into the summer, I saw the facility. It's second to none. It's beautiful. Yeah. So you're providing an opportunity to give these guys a place to call home base. And I got to meet some of the ownership group and some of the leadership group beyond yourself. These guys have spared no expense to provide these kids with everything they need inside that facility. You want to talk about?
Yes, sir.
Talk about it's a brand new place, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think we started in I think opening April. Yeah,
you opened right in the middle of COVID.
Well, we were supposed to open in March, and we got shut down, or everything was shut down. That was kind of when everything got crazy with COVID, yeah. And once some things started opening up just a bit, we decided to open up right along with it and just let's see what happens. And
it's been pretty much gangbusters. I mean, that weekend I was there, the place was it was wide open as far as I could tell.
It's been great. We're getting a lot of good feedback from our area. We're training kids at with not just baseball. We got a lot of sports going on at our place. And so it kind of caters to kids and any sport that they play. Also family oriented, and bring the whole family, and there's something for everybody to do.
If I remember correctly, I think was there a basketball court in there, or were you about to install a basketball court while I was there?
The gymnasium is open. So we have now we have a gym, full size gym. We have our turf area, which is the 10 cages, or 10 or 8 of them retractable, and then we have putt. We have a restaurant. We have driving range, and washer pits and cornhole boards. And so it's drop the kids off to do lessons or do their training, and it's got something for everybody to do for that hour.
When you talk about the basketball piece, it's actually kind of surprising that I don't run across more facilities that are multi-sport. And obviously you and I love baseball, right? But man, when I was a kid, I went from baseball to soccer to basketball to swimming to baseball, right? I played volleyball in high school. We had men's volleyball in high school. And so we, I did a little bit of everything. And so from a business standpoint, it seems smart to offer the different sports so you can get that same kid to stay in-house all year without killing them on the baseball side.
Absolutely. Well, you just got to think, Rich. I mean, you've been to San Angelo, and we're sitting at the 78 to 100,000 people. Just looking at it on a business end, you really don't think, we just don't have a choice other than to add those other sports in. You just don't want something like that to fail due to the fact that we're just trying to build, something in San Angelo that's going to be great for a lot of kids, not just baseball kids.
Yeah, and if you have the space, I'm just thinking about there's probably some guys listening to this right now, and if you have the space, not the worst idea to think about. You don't have to coach the basketball or the soccer. I've seen some facilities that are opening up the futsal and the soccer stuff. You already have the space.
Oh, yeah.
If you already have the space, just as a matter of fact, are y'all doing soccer indoors on that turf field too, or futsal or whatever?
Absolutely. We We have open pitch, which is our open soccer night. We have futsal leagues, men and co-ed. We had some younger kids do a futsal league. We have basketball leagues. We're about to start our slow pitch softball leagues on Wednesday and Thursday night, men's and co-ed. We're going to have our youth hit tracks tournaments and different stuff like that. So I mean, it's called
diversification. It's called diversity. It's not putting all your eggs in one basket, and not that baseball is a bad thing or a bad basket to put all your eggs in, but it gets magnified and multiplied when you look at a town of 100,000. Well, if you're just doing one thing, that means there's only so many families that actually have kids that want to play baseball. So by opening up and saying, hey, this family might have a softball player, and this family might have a soccer player, and this family might have a golfer, well, now all of a sudden you can create revenue from all these different families, not just some of them. It's good. It really is a beautiful place, and I think that's a strong lesson to pass along. Just the indoor soccer stuff alone. Listen, here in our area, there's people who go, adults who, after they've worked a hard day of work and after they put the kids to sleep, I'm talking about leagues that get cranking about 10 p.m. and go till about 2 a.m., okay? And then those guys get up in the morning and go and bust their butt again the next day, right? So in a lot of circumstances here, this is a very diverse area I'm in, and you're talking about a lot of them are migrant workers, and they're going and blowing off steam at 10 o'clock at night. And I'm thinking,
no doubt.
You got a baseball place filled, with this turf, man. Throw a goal up, and and then you got another revenue stream.
I can give you an example from just our Wednesday night last night. We had volleyball practices going on until 9 o'clock. And then we had baseball lessons going on until about 8:30. And so we had open gym going on with basketball after volleyball practices starting at 9. And then around 8:30, we had open pitch. So we had about, probably 20 people in there playing soccer. And then we used cage 10 to do a ping pong tournament.
I love it. I love it. Tell me. Wait, so we get you got to go into detail here. Who played? Was it kids, parents? What was this?
Man, it was men and women. It was just people wanted to come play some ping pong. It was kind of a test. We went and got 2 ping pong tables, and we were trying to figure out something to do indoor, and something that people are into. And heck, when you're dealing with baseball guys love to play.
Absolutely. Isn't there a ping pong table in every locker room in America?
Every locker room.
So it's so popular. There are now ping pong specific bars popping up in different towns. We had one here in our town. And so, golly, what a smart idea! Did y'all charge for this, or was the first one just for free, just to test it out?
No, we didn't charge a dime.
Okay,
this was just a test run, see if we could see what kind of interest. And we had probably 10, 12 people over there playing ping pong.
I could see a league. Cool. I could see a league popping up, and I could see standalone tournaments. It would be no big deal to get 50 people in a weekend tournament. And the beautiful thing is, you touched on it, but we didn't talk about it, is this facility has a great restaurant right in-house. And, oh, by the way, you guys have a liquor license. And so...
No, it's just beer and wine.
Well, in Virginia, when I say liquor license, I mean you got the ability to sell beer and wine. Okay, so...
Absolutely.
So, you know what? You could do free tournaments every week just to get 50 people in the door, because those people who are playing ping pong for free will be buying food and drinking beer.
Yes, sir.
So just again, hopefully somebody was listening to this going, man, I thought we were just baseball, but man, you know, there's a lot more to it. Because the reality is a lot of these facilities around the country, let's say your last lesson ends at, let's say, what time's the last lesson end? 10 p.m. or is that too late? 9 p.m.
Most of the time, we're out of the cages. We'll start at 4 o'clock, and we're usually out of the cages by 8, so we could start our leagues.
So you can start your league. But okay, so the baseball side probably is going to shut down around 10. So for baseball perspectives, most of these baseball facilities sit vacant as far as action is concerned from 10 p.m. until school lets out the next day, say 2, 3, 4 o'clock. And so if you own a facility and you're paying rent every single month, or if you're paying a mortgage every single month, my goodness, let's figure out some more ways to create revenue. And hopefully we've touched on a couple ideas that somebody can steal. And let me tell you, you going over to Dick's Sporting Goods and buying about 4 or 5 ping pong tables, that's an awesome idea. Those things will pay for themselves in a couple weekends.
No doubt.
Awesome idea. No doubt. Awesome idea. Here we thought this was travel ball talk. We haven't talked about travel ball yet. I do want to talk about travel ball. So the older age group you call elite academy baseball. That's basically your high school travel ball group.
High school. Yeah.
But you've got your younger crew, which is how you got into this thing, if I remember correctly, and you call that West Texas Elite. So that's your younger crew. Talk about how, sort of one feeds the other.
Yeah, man. We just started here in San Angelo, and we started with 3 teams, and we just continued to grow from there. Now we vary in the San Angelo area, around 9, 10 teams, in the spring. Just doing this for as long as I have, and then, taking some high school groups to some, larger areas to play. I did there's Texas Premier here, and there's also, the National Premier stuff that we do some stuff with. And, I took a group, in 2017, that was primarily San Angelo kids, and some surrounding areas, Wall and different places like that. And we went to a national tournament that was held in Lubbock. And I picked up some kids from Lubbock, and I had a couple kids from Midland, and had a couple kids from the Abilene area. And, out of, I think around 50, 60 teams, we won the whole thing. And my mind got to spinning. And I was just like, how do I do this year in and year out? How do I compete at this level year in and year out? And the only way to do that is to bring West Texas together. Easier said than done. It's hard to get people to come together on stuff. It's tough. But we've been blessed, man. I have a director, Bo Kaiser, that's in Lubbock, and I think we have 7 teams over there. Coach Mack in Abilene, he's my director over there, and he has 4 or 5 teams in Abilene, and then I have my teams here, and so we have a core group in each one of those cities. And what we do is we feed it into the Elite Baseball Academy, and that's our way of going and competing at the highest level possible.
So if I'm listening and hearing this correctly, at the youth level, you've got you've got a crew there in San Angelo, you've got a crew in Lubbock, and a crew in, I missed the other one, Abilene.
Yes.
So those are youth teams, and they're all and those are local. Those are in those different localities. Yes. And then as they age up, they're basically funneling into one organization, which is your high school group that you call Elite Academy. Okay, cool.
At 15 years old.
So at the youth level, practices are pretty easy to do because they're right down the street. It's not until high school because Lubbock's a good long way from San Angelo. That's a 3-hour drive.
Well, you were here for our basically our summer. We kind of call it our spring training.
Yeah, your kickoff weekend. That's right.
Yeah, yes. Where we bring all the kids together and kind of do our thing and start preparing for what's going to go down during the summer.
Of course, at the high school age, it really does become a little bit of a different story where you're not practicing together. Travel teams are not practicing together 5 days a week, right? Because in the most part, those kids are going to be playing with their high schools. And then as you head into summer, most organizations are going to play on the weekends, and then hopefully some of those are going to have some workouts during the week. Are y'all, because your guys are pretty spread out, are y'all able to do midweek practices during the summertime?
We do.
That's a pretty good commitment. That's a good commitment for a kid from Midland or Odessa or Abilene or Lubbock to make the drive into San Angelo.
Well, with Lubbock, it's a little bit different, but Abilene, it's a little bit shorter. And any kids that we have in Midland, they'll take that hour and a half drive. Mm-hmm. But what we've done is, all of our directors are on the same page, and they can practice in their hometown. Gotcha. Before we come together.
Yeah.
So the guys, you can practice, once a week with your area director.
Yeah. So that's almost like a satellite practice. They're still getting their workout in. I got you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got you. My buddies up in Northern Virginia that have a big organization do a similar. It's a very big organization, but you got to remember Northern Virginia is highly densely populated, and so just to drive across town in the afternoon can be a bear because of traffic. And so since they're pulling kids from all over, they say, okay, this high school, you can go here to this high school for practice, you can go to this other high school for practice, so it's not practice by team, it's practice by convenience and geography, which is a pretty good way of doing it. And obviously you got to bring your team together sometimes, but not on a weekly basis. Right on. That's a pretty good, man. You look at some of these clubs only have players at the older age groups. And so then all of a sudden that freshman year, they got to go out and start recruiting kids again and again and again. Having that feeder program is such a blessing. It is. Now, what would you say, maybe percentage-wise? Because you got to still go out and find new kids, because you're gonna have some fall off. Some may decide to go play for somebody else or whatever. What percentage of the players come from within your youth organization, and what percentage do you have to go find from outside?
I'd say it's probably around 60 or 70 is within.
That's huge. Oh, that makes life so much easier.
It's a big deal, but you have to understand. I mean, the second year probably around that portion, but before the Elite Baseball Academy, we didn't start that until the fall of 2018. We've only been around for 2 years.
So you were basically growing that younger age group was. Yeah,
I had teams that were just West Texas Elite.
Gotcha.
I did some high school teams, but like I said,
local.
I'm not a guy that likes to settle. I mean, there's some good baseball out there, and that's kind of what I was. You and I have talked about kind of West Texas and how it's different and what struggles. A big struggle is just the small town mentality, and trying to get people to think outside of San Angelo.
Yeah,
or think outside of West Texas.
I want to paint a real, and maybe we should have done this before when we were really trying to describe the landscape out there. I don't remember the exact town and you can help me out with this, but there's a famous movie and a show called Friday Night Lights that takes place in West Texas, correct? Where about was that? Do you remember? Odessa. So right down the road from you. So if you've anybody that's seen that show, that's painting a pretty good picture. There seems to be you describe this West Texas mentality as a small town. There's this kind of small town thinking, not like this big ideas kind of group. I almost take that as maybe I'm wrong. Is it such a pride of their hometown? Like they love the hometown so much that they don't want to go away? Or is it something different?
I don't want to make all my West Texas people pissed
no,
off.
That's your home. You love West Texas. We've been there for 15 years.
Do.
Yeah, no, I get
it. I love it.
But there's more to this world than West Texas too. You can love it and recognize that,
especially baseball wise.
Right.
Anything, but in I'm in the baseball world, and I just I grew up playing. I grew up where I was an hour away from Austin. I played select ball and travel ball, in Austin. I played high.
Can you say who you played
baseball.
For? You want to say who you played for?
I played with the Austin Wings.
Awesome. Okay.
I also played with Slam. I played with several of those teams.
Big names.
West Texas Heat, or not West Texas Heat. Texas Heat out of Austin. That was just a pickup, team there. So
those are all teams in the Texas Premier League.
Yeah. Play some high level baseball and just our kids and our and some do, but our kids really don't know. They don't, especially the parents. They just let's keep them together until high school. Well, it just doesn't work that way. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like we have to prepare them for what they're going to face if they really want to play baseball at the next level. We have to go and compete at that level, or they're gonna be, they're not gonna make it.
Well, it's a little bit of a kind of naivety to think that a really good team in a town of 100,000 would be able to keep up with a really good team. I just looked it up. The Dallas metro area actually has over 7 million people. So how?
It's unreal. It's unreal.
So
when we want to go, when I want to take my team, or if we want to take our teams and go and compete against the Dallas Tigers and compete against USA Prime and 12 and Hunter Pence and McKinney Marshalls, who I think is doing stuff with US Elite, and
they are.
Austin Wings and C2 Select and all those big name organizations in these areas, and we want to go and do that, we have to be prepared. We have to as a West Texas area, we have to come together and take our best talent, or we're not gonna be able to compete.
That's right. There's so many people. It's just all there is to it. I get what you're saying now about that mentality of it. By the way, you are probably, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, you're probably the fifth or sixth coach from Texas. Let's see, that I've had on the show. So fans of the show will know this, but I've had, Tommy Hernandez from the Dallas Tigers. Great guy. David Hadler, also a great guy. All these guys are great guys. I mean, I only talk to the best. David Hadler from the McKinney Marshalls and US Elite Texas. Sean Danielson runs Hunter Pence, and Logan Stout runs Dallas Patriots. So that makes you the fifth coach from Texas to join me on Travel Ball Talk. So that's Texas might be leading the country. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I get what you mean, man. You gotta, and you know, how do you? Maybe it starts with the youth player. And there's a way to just, you know, to coach these kids up, and you know, because this is big fish in a small pond kind of situation. When you're out in Abilene or Odessa or Midland, and you're the best player in town or best player at your age group, that's great. But you might not be the 20th best player if you go to Dallas, and so.
It's an eye opener. It's definitely an eye opener, and you know, there's ways to prepare for those situations, but the part is just getting people bought into the philosophy.
So when I was on your website earlier, and I was pretty impressed. And listen, I scour the web. I'm on everybody's Twitter page. I look at everybody's Twitter and everybody's websites. And the one thing that kind of jumped out to me, and I've had a couple guys on the show who have had, who've done this as well, and we just named one of them. I know not to leave anybody out, but David Hadler's website and the McKinney Marshals does a good job of this, and I want to compliment you as well, where you've laid out in ink, in black and white, what the core values are. And from the website, let's see, I'm on the website right here. You guys call it Elite 8 leadership. And I'm looking at it, and I'll just rattle it off real quick, and then I'll let you talk about it. But basically, it's number 1, we over me. Number 2, accountability. 3, commitment. 4, discipline. 5, class. 6, respect. 7, mental toughness. 8, loyalty. And listen, I get that a lot of people, a lot of organizations, they say they stand for something, or they make claims, but it's another thing to like actually sit down and sort of filter this down into literally 8 words or eight little phrases, which make up your core values. So I'd like to hear sort of how you and the leaderships came up with this, and you know, how you settled on these 8 things, and you know, how do you incorporate it into the teams and into the everyday conversations?
Well, you know, we just I sat down and wanted to, you know, we're obviously in the business of baseball, but at the same time, we're not just trying to build baseball players. We're trying to build, you know, good humans too. And so, you know, in this baseball world and in life in general, we just have to have, you know, we want our kids to have leadership qualities. We want our kids to carry themselves a certain way and act a certain way, and that's parents also. So what we do, you know, we listed these were the ones that, you know, I felt like were most important, and something that we can all, you know, stand for and be on the same page with, and kind of just beat it into our kids' heads at practices and at school, and have something that this is what we're going to live by. You know, if you're going to be a part of this organization, this is how you're going to carry yourself. You're going to do things the right way. We're going to treat people the right way. We're going to have respect for others. We're going to do this on the baseball field. We're going to do this off the baseball field. And if we can't uphold this standard, then we're going to have to, you know, make some adjustments.
I love it. And if you're listening, you want to check this out, obviously I'm going to put it on the show notes, which will be at playinschool.com/Gaines, Gaines, but also Ronnie's website for this is at WTE Baseball, WTE, so for West Texas, WTEBaseball.com. You scroll down to the bottom, you'll see it. And I would challenge all you coaches out there who are running organizations just to sit down and think about what your core values are, and what are the things you want your players and families to that are representing you to be thinking about on a daily basis. And And I think these 8 pretty darn good. Pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Hey, Ronnie, listen, I know we're getting on to pretty long here. You got 2 little ones that are probably gonna be banging down the door. I know you're at home.
Man,
and
they hadn't. I'm surprised they hadn't bust through here already.
All right,
man.
Well, let's wrap.
All good.
Let's wrap this up, and we can always have you on again at another time.
Absolutely.
And I know it's your wife's birthday, so happy birthday to her.
Man, shout out to wifey.
To her, yeah, man. We know. Hey, you don't get to do this without a supportive wife. No doubt about it. Well, listen, man. Well, let me hand the mic over to you. Any parting shots for a young coach or maybe an old coach who's looking into getting into the travel baseball / facility world? Do you have any advice or recommendations or thoughts for that person?
Absolutely. Yeah, just when you're getting into baseball and kids in general, man, this is just so much it's so much bigger than us. Trying to help these kids shape their their futures with not only baseball but it's life in general, and just always just be selfless when you're doing this. Try to do whatever you can to help these kids. Do whatever you can to do things the right way and treat people the right way, and surround yourself by good people, and the rest will kind of fall in place. That this is what we do it for. We do it for young people, young athletes, and so it's so much bigger than us adults when it comes to this. So that's kind of my take on it.
I love it. I still got the website with the Elite 8 leadership in front of me, and number 1 on the list is We Over Me, which I think you just described perfectly there. I'll tell you one of the major takeaways besides these core values. It's just this idea of diversification within your program and within your facility. There's so many ways to provide a great service for people in your community that, by the way, the side effect is you can make some money by doing that. You know what I mean? And if you can make some money, then you can, hey, guess what? Turn around and provide some more services and help more people.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, tell the guys over there, go get about 4 more ping pong tables, and and we didn't even talk about Wednesday night. We'll leave.
Yeah, I mean it's so much, man.
It's so much.
Have to do a part 2, man.
We will. People need to recognize that it's not. You can provide so much to your baseball families beyond the baseball. It's so impressive. Listen, I'll let you go on that. This was a fun. I think it was an educational, eye-opening conversation. Hopefully, some of the young guys, or maybe some of the old guys running facilities, are able to steal some ideas. But we don't want to give away all the ideas, do we?
Man, not just yet.
Not all of them. Just give them a little taste. All right, Ronnie, you
Yes,
go enjoy those kids, and hopefully you got a little birthday cake set up for the wife. If you don't yet, you better go now with the little ones. Go get those cupcakes.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me, Rich.
You got it, man. Have a good one.
All right. You too, bud.